This story happened in 1941. It was an ordinary spring day on Kupriyanovo Island, Alaska. It is a quiet, peaceful place that has become the stage for an amazing event that it all happened when a man who was looking for gold was wandering along the stream. And suddenly he noticed something among the trees. Fear instantly took over his body when he saw the huge wolf, but when he looked closer, he realized that the animal had fallen into a trap. At his approach, the animal tried to retreat away from the man, but could not. At the same time, he realized that the wolf was actually a she-wolf. Her nipples were swollen with milk. He assumed that somewhere nearby there was a pack of hungry cubs waiting for their mother. The man wanted to free the she-wolf, but he thought that in this case she might show aggression and attack him. So he decided to look for the cubs first. They should be nearby, the man thought. He began a search, trying to find traces of the she-wolf leading to her lair. After walking some distance, he saw many different tracks, and finally noticed a wolf hole in the bushes. He ran to her, hoping that the cubs were still alive. As he approached, he heard plaintive whining. Fortunately, they were cubs, and they were all alive. When the man saw the cubs, he realized that the wolf had been trapped for a long time, since they were thin. He put the babies in a bag and carried them to where their mother was. As he approached, the she-wolf rose to her feet, smelling her puppies, and howled bitterly. Then the man released the cubs, and they rushed to their mother. Everything turned out as he had planned, and after a while the babies were sucking milk. But not everything was so joyful, because their mother continued to suffer from pain. The trap bit deeper into her paw each time. The man tried to come over to help her, but the wolf did not trust him, and growled threateningly at every approach. It was obvious that she was trying to protect her children. The cubs were already full, but the wolf herself was still hungry. The man remembered that he had seen the corpse of a deer on the way. He returned to that place, taking some of it, and then went back to the she-wolf with food, and began throwing her pieces of meat. When she smelled it, she quickly began to swallow them. He decided to set up camp next to her, and cut off some branches, building himself a shelter for the night. In the morning, he was woken up by little cubs. They sniffed and licked his face and hands. He got up and went to look at the mother wolf, who continued to squint at him suspiciously. The man needed to gain her trust in order to get her out of the trap, because this was the only hope for her to survive. He had to continue exploring the territory, but he couldn't, because he was only thinking about how to free the she-wolf. He talked to her, threw food, and played with the cubs in front of her. Little by little, he was getting closer, but at the same time, he continued to keep a safe distance. It was already the second day coming to an end. He gave her the pieces of deer meat again, approached and told her, "Come on, girl, you have nothing to be afraid of." And suddenly he saw that she was wagging her tail slightly, so he dared to get even closer, stopping a meter away from her. After spending a little time with her, he went to bed. At dawn on the third day, the man woke up to the squealing of cubs sucking milk. He came over, bent down and stroked them. The wolf looked at it calmly. Then the man gently put his hand on the paw stuck in the trap. Fortunately, the wolf was no longer making any threatening movements. He forcefully pressed the trap and the trap opened, and finally the wolf was free. She jumped up quickly and limped off. The man thought that the wolf would run away with the cubs, but no. She approached him, sniffed his hands, and began to lick his fingers. The man thought that the wolf wanted him to follow her into the forest. They walked several kilometers up the hill, and suddenly the man noticed a group of wolves in the distance, and realized that the moment had come to leave the she-wolf with her pack. Then he went in the other direction, and after walking some distance he saw that the rescued family was looking after him, and then he waved goodbye to them. 4 years have passed since then. The man was in the army. He managed to return to Kupriyanovo Island. The weather was fine. What he saw awakened in him a feeling of nostalgia. Something made him go to the place where he had last seen the wolf family. He had a desire to find out what had become of that she-wolf and the cubs. And at that moment, an unexpected wolf howl rang out in the hills, 300 meters away from him. He saw a dark silhouette slowly approaching him, and realized that it was a wolf. A shudder ran through his body. But soon he realized that the animal seemed familiar to him, and it was the same wolf. She stood up and stood tens of meters away from him and wagged her tail. Suddenly, the wolf turned around and howled loudly. A surprise awaited the man. A group of wolves came to the next peak. The man thought that these were her cubs, which he also saved. The mute wolf looked at her savior and headed for her pack. He has never seen them since. But whenever he heard a wolf howl, he remembered what had happened to him with warmth. This incident remained in his heart forever. This amazing story proves that friendship between humans and wild animals is possible.